Hi there, this is Aaron. Today is Saturday the 16th of April and it's day 6 of 2016 on the allotment. Except, as you see, I'm not actually at the plot yet. I'm still at home because it's been raining all morning. It is due to brighten up a little bit later, but whilst I can't really get up there, what I've decided to do is get a few things ready for later in the season. So what I have is a series, and I've got 4 of these, 4 trays each with 15 little 3-inch pots in. What I've got here are some tomatoes that we picked up at the Edible Garden show, and I think a lot of people pick these up. I think Sean picks them up, I think that Jane picks them up, but what you've got is a little soil pocket here, and I think this is Coir. And that fits inside this little plastic tray, and then you fill the little plastic tray up with water, and that gradually soaks into the coir so that your little seedling can grow. Now these have reached a size where I think they're ready to be potted on, so that's the first thing we're going to do now. We're going to put these little tomatoes into the 3-inch pots. These are a little bit fiddly but not too bad to get out, so these could be a good idea. Now what I'm doing is I'm just using, in this case, a sonic screwdriver. It's not really a sonic screwdriver, it's actually a plastic toy. But anyway, it serves very well as a dibber. And I'm just digging out a little hole inside the soil, taking the tomato, putting it down inside, and then firming the soil around the little pocket that I've just put in. So as Dan says, it couldn't be any easier. I think what Dan often doesn't say is it really is that easy if you're Dan and you know everything that he does. I'm certainly trying, and I hope to one day have some of the expanse of knowledge that he's got, but every year is always going to be a bit more of a discovery for me. So that didn't take long, and there are tomatoes that have been potted on. The soil that I've used is a mixture of Jack's Magic, and I know that Jack's Magic is a peat-based compost. It's one of the reasons why it's so good, but peat is an unsustainable resource. And I always feel a little bit guilty when I use Jack's Magic, because, I mean, as gardeners, surely we all like to do our little bit for the environment. So what I do is that I cut it with Coir. Now, that also, I find, means that it doesn't quite get so claggy and cloggy, so that things don't rot in it the way that they can do if you just use Jack's Magic on its own. One of the other things that I've done for the tomatoes is to use this. Now this is calcified seaweed. It's calcified seaweed in a Dolmio jar, and I have to say a huge thank you to Peter Edwards, who actually gave me this. We met up for tea. It's a little while ago now, and so this thank you video is a little bit late, so sorry Peter. But we met up and had a cup of tea, and Pete gave me some of this calcified seaweed, and I've used that in with the compost as well for the tomatoes. I'm not going to do it for anything else I'm going to plant now, because everything else I'm going to plant is going to be seeds. But when I plant them on, then yes, I will be using some calcified seaweed as well. The first of my squashes that I'm going to plant is actually going to be my Cheyenne pumpkins. Now these are actually a few years old now, and so I might not get good germination. So I'm actually going to put 2 of these in each of these little pots, and I have just enough 6 seeds left in order to do 3 pots. Now 3 of these, if I get, 1 germinates in each, 3 Cheyenne pumpkins are enough for anybody. So that's what we're going to do now. And what I do with squash seeds is I plant them sort of on their edge, not flat, not up, not down, on their edge. And I found that that worked better than anything else. So I put them down, just down to about the first knuckle. So that's the 3 pots next to my tomatoes that have got the Cheyenne pumpkins in. What I've also got are some of the traditional American proper jack-o'-lantern variety, and this was a present from my mother-in-law, so thank you very much to her. I'm actually going to do exactly the same again, which is 2 pumpkin seeds in each pot. I'll chop off whichever one is the weak one, and hopefully we get 3. This is a trailing pumpkin, so I've got to be careful about this one. This is another freebie, actually, another gift from Peter, who's been unbelievably kind to me with this. And what he's sent me are 2 pumpkin seeds from Roland Taylor. And it says here, 40 plus K6 mother. I'm not sure what that means, but I'm sure that it's good. I mean, these seeds are the biggest pumpkin seeds I've ever seen. So I've got 2 of these, and I am going to put 1 of these in each of the 3-inch pots. And I think this is going to be one of the Atlantic Giant style pumpkins. So I didn't manage to grow any of those last year. I didn't do very well at all with that. So hopefully this year we can do a little bit better. I'm changing the way that I'm doing my squashes this year, and I'm hoping that this change of technique is going to work. So there we've got 2 rows of tomatoes. Next to that, the row of Cheyenne pumpkins. Next to that, the row of the jack-o'-lantern pumpkins. And on the end here, the 2 pots on their own, they are the Roland Taylor pumpkins. So those are my pumpkins for this year. So on with the squashes. Now, what I've now got are some Defender F1 Courgettes, and everyone says that these are the best. I ended up neglecting my F1 courgettes last year, and that was a great shame. I'm going to try and keep a better eye on them this year and do better than I did last year. Again, I'm going to put 2 in each station because they are last year's seeds, but I'll thin out whichever one doesn't look right. Next to the Defender, we're going to put in some Burpless cucumbers. These are new seeds, so I'm only going to put 1 of these in each station. 3 cucumbers is enough for anybody, and certainly enough for us. So even if only 1 or 2 of these germinate, I'm actually not unhappy about that. Time now for my butternut squash in the 3rd set of pots on this row. So I've got Waltham Butternut Squash. Now I did try and grow this last year, and this is last year's seed, so again I'm going to put 2 in per station. But they didn't do very well at all. Fortunately at the show, our local show, nobody else did very well either, and I did actually walk off with first prize for a little diddler. So let's try and do something that's a little bit more deserving this year. Now I don't have any big marrows, but this is a long green bush 2 marrow, which is similar to the long green pumpkins that trail, and I think that started off as the variety that Dan and the other growers, I mean obviously they saved their seed and they've sort of created Herculeses over the years. This one is similar, but it grows as a bush. Now this was actually quite good for growing marrows last year, and again I won the first prize with the small brace of marrows for last year, so we're going to give them a go this year as well. This is the other present that Peter Edwards brought to me, and if you're not subscribed to Peter Edwards' channel, please do go take a look. Peter's very interested in growing giant veg for competition, and he's got his back garden and his allotment, and he's certainly getting on really well there, and everything's very well developed this year. So well done mate for that, and thank you for these. What these are the Trombocino, which is a variety of courgette which grows very large, and it's shaped like a trombone. Some people say that it looks like something else as well, but I think trombone is probably the PG way to describe how they grow. But I've tried these and they are absolutely gorgeous. They grow enormous, so I'm going to have to build some kind of frame for these if I can get them to grow. but they are absolutely fantastic. So there in this one we've got a row of 3 Defender Courgette, followed by 3 of the Burpless cucumber, then 3 of the Waltham Butternut Squash, finally 3 of the long green bush 2 marrows, and then in the end there we've got the Trombocino. If I get even half of these to grow this year, that'll make me very happy indeed. Now finally what I'm going to do is I'm going to plant my sweet corn. Now this has been soaking in water for 24 hours. I put this in about this time yesterday, and hopefully this has now soaked it. Now the reason I'm doing it is because I'm hoping that I can get a better germination rate than I did last year. Last year I used root trainers and was really not happy with those at all. And what I tried to do was just put a few sweet corn in, and then a couple of weeks later a few more, and then a few more, and then a few more. And it was a completely pointless exercise because the germination rate of sweet corn is very, very low, and they're very temperamental. The least little thing can cause it to completely give up. So I'm trying to give myself as much of a head start as I can this year as possible. So I'm going to put all of the sweet corn in, and this is nearly 60. And what I've got is 2 trays here, each with 15 of the 3-inch pots in, and I'm going to put 2 sweet corn in each pot, and hopefully I'll get 1 to germinate from each pot, and ideally what I'm looking for is 25. So we're going to start off with 60, and hopefully I'm going to end up with 25 of my best ones. That hopefully means that this year I can grow some sweet corn, so we're going to give that a go now. So that's all my sweet corn planted now, 2 to a station. Now ordinarily what I'd do is I'd put this in a greenhouse, but my greenhouse isn't built yet because I'm still waiting for some good weather and a few more materials in order to get this built. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start all of this, all of the squashes, the tomatoes and the sweet corn, I'm going to put it all underneath my lights. Well, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time when I get up to the allotment. Goodbye.